hit the subscribe button. Or don't. I really don't care one way or the other.
Welcome everybody to my latest video. So for this video, we got another trip down memory lane. And, well, I thought I'd talk about one of my personal disappointments in video gaming, the Atari Jaguar. Now, obviously today, the Jaguar is somewhat of a collectible gem. People enjoy it, maybe for the wrong reasons. But I remember when I first heard about the Jaguar, I wanted one so bad. There's just something about it, a mystique. Now, the thing about me, I always enjoyed having gaming systems that my friends didn't. Yeah, I had a Super Nintendo, a Sega Genesis, so did my friends, but I also had a TurboGrafx 16, a Turbo Duo. I wanted the PCFX, the Super Graphics, the Neo Geo, even though that was a little more popular than some of the others in terms of, friends who wanted one. So yeah, when I heard about the Atari Jaguar, I was just amazed at what I thought would be the potential. Now you gotta remember, in the 16-bit days back then, we really didn't know the electronics and the insides and outs of game systems. All we knew was bits, and nobody even knew what a bit was. The original Nintendo was 8 bits. The Super Nintendo was 16 bits. And that was such a huge leap in technology and what it could do. And so, the next step up was, of course, the 32 bits. And everybody was amazed about how good those games were going to be. And then you hear the Atari Jaguar was going to be 64 bits. And in fact, the rumors that, this new game system from Sony was going to be 32 bits, and Sega was coming out with the Saturn, which was also 32 bits. But here's Atari, the one-time giants of the gaming industry, and they were going to have a 64-bit system. Amazing. They were going one step beyond. And slowly, a little bit more info came out, and I just wanted one. And so I think I got one for Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. The first year they were released, very, very limited quantity. In fact, the one that I got was the last one a particular store had. If I remember correctly, the store was called Electronics Boutique. And I think they eventually became EB Games. But it was the display unit. It hadn't been played with. It was just like a window display unit. So, I got one for Christmas. Really excited opening it up. A design that was, pretty futuristic at that particular point in time. Visually appealing, I guess, to an extent. And when I say appealing, I mean just different. So yeah, I remember hooking it up. And I think we had Christmas at my grandfather's house, and the TV was used, so I had to wait a couple hours before I could actually hook it up, and trying to be patient. Finally, I get the TV to myself, I hook it up, and I put in Cybermorph, and it's like, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's 3D. It's interesting. And And I remember thinking, okay, you know what, this is just a pack-in game. You know, Atari, you know, it's just a pack-in game. You know, better is yet to come. And I'm playing it. I know I tried to convince myself that I really, really love the system. In reality, I was immediately disappointed. I remember looking and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's sort of 3D. But why does it not look as good as, say, Star Fox? You know, Star Fox on a 16-bit Super Nintendo, it looked pretty damn good. And Cybermorph was bland and just wasn't as fun. And I remember saying, okay, you know what? In this game, you can pretty much go anywhere to an extent. So, yeah, that's a vast improvement. But, you know, kept playing it. I played it religiously, never beat the game. I always remember of course, everyone who's played the game, the bald-headed green girl. And then, you know, I started to save my money. The next, you know, I wanted to get another game, and the first 3 games released for the system, not including Cybermorph, were Lemmings, Raiden, and Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. Well, Raiden, I remember looking, it just looked bland, pale, and slow, and just did not look fun at all. Lemmings, I remember thinking, who in their right mind would want to play this game? And so I got Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. Got that game, and visually it's a step up, okay. If I remember correctly, it had some good music. I truthfully, I can't remember. But it was just a basic shoot 'em up. And, you know, I played it. I tried again to convince myself these graphics were pretty damn good. And, you know, again, just disappointed. Now, I remember you look on the back of the Jaguar box, and like any, you know, game system at the time, you see pictures of other games that were going to be coming out. And I remember that I think there was Looney Tune Adventures, which eventually was canceled, and it looked pretty good based on the pictures. There were some other games, I can't even remember what they were, but one game that definitely caught my eye was Alien versus Predator. And I just became infatuated with that game. I was like, I have got to get this game. And I saved up, and I eventually got the game. Now, looking back, it wasn't exactly the best, you know, shooter, you know, FPS, but when it was released, I played the hell out of that game. I played all 3 campaigns. You play as the alien, the predator, or the marine. I primarily played the marine, but yeah, I played all 3 campaigns religiously. That was probably my favorite Jaguar game. And I remember trying to show it to my friends, and they really weren't interested. You know, at the time, they were all, I think, you know, nobody was in the first-person shooters. I don't think the genre was as popular on the console gaming scene as it, you know, could have been. But yeah, I was just amazed. I love that game so much. Some other games I got, Kasumi Ninja. You know, barely knew how any of the controls. Remember, the internet didn't exist back then. You really didn't even know how to pull off the fatalities. Kind of just wiggled the pad, the thumb pad, and pressed buttons randomly, and somehow I ended up pulling out fatalities. But I remember looking at it, and oh yeah, this is just as good as Mortal Kombat. It's, you know, got digitalized graphics, and fatalities. In reality, yeah, it was a shitty game. Other games I had, was it Mech Warrior? I think that's what it was called. It was, you know, a mech game. I really into mech games. Got it. Kind of like the same feeling as most of the other games. It's kind of cool, but it's really not as cool as it should be. And I remember constantly thinking, what the heck? What the hell's going on here? This Jaguar is supposed to be 64 bits, and these games barely look better than Super Nintendo games. What is going on? Then you see pictures of, you know, games that are coming to the PlayStation and the Saturn, and it's like, something's wrong here. Something is definitely wrong, because this is just not right. What other game? Now, I will say one other game that I did get that I fully enjoyed was Tempest 2000. I played that game religiously. Loved it. I remember getting it because it got such high scores in the gaming magazines, and I really wasn't interested in it. But I was just aching for another Jaguar game. Just something that, you know, I could play and have fun, and had money, you know, that I had saved up, and it was burning a hole in my wallet, and nothing else came out, caught my attention. I'm like, all right, might as well give it a try. I bought it, and I don't even think I played it for a couple days. I think it's set, you know, unplayed, still sealed. Eventually opened it, and I just got addicted to that game. I remember one time, I think I don't know how many levels there were, maybe 100 before you beat the game. I think I got up to level 92. Soundtrack was killer. I can't think of any other games I may have gotten. I'm trying to adjust my camera here. Let's see. I don't think I got any other games. I could be wrong. Now I was going to speed up around this truck. Got somebody coming on my left-hand side. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. The fact that I can't remember specifically if I had other games or not, you know, kind of just lets you know just how much, you know, of a disappointment the gaming system was. I do remember, you know, at one time hearing about the CD add-on, and that caught my attention, and I thought, surely that's gonna, you know, step things up, and we're gonna have some great titles, and it's gonna, you know, blow away the, you know, the PlayStation and the Saturn. And when footage and pictures of those games came out, again, it was like, okay, what the heck? This is just a disappointment. I'm not spending another, you know, I think at the time $300 for the CD add-on. But yeah, that's my experience with the Jaguar. Just a trip down memory lane. I mean, if I had the space and, you know, money wasn't an option, would I get a Jaguar now with all the very few games that I did like? Sure, why not? Just for nostalgia purposes. Maybe play some Alien vs. Predator again. But yeah, that was probably my biggest disappointment in console gaming. Of course, years later, we find out just why the Jaguar did so poorly, why it wasn't as powerful as we thought it was, you know, why developers and you know, other companies, why they just didn't want to make games because it was so difficult. But yeah, so there you are. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm stuck here in traffic. Until next time.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.